The tavern on Kepler Station reeked of synthetic alcohol and alien pheromones. In the darkest corner, where the artificial gravity felt heaviest, 3 Vorthak hunters hunched over their drinks, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming under the flickering neon lights. Their mandibles clicked in rhythm as they spoke, a sound that made most species uncomfortable enough to give them a wide berth. The Altarian thought it could hide in the crystal caves of Zephys 7, rasped Ketvar, the largest of the 3, his 4 arms gesticulating wildly. Its bioluminescent skin betrayed it in the darkness. One clean shot through the thorax. He slammed a crystalline trophy onto the table, a glowing organ that pulsed with residual life. His companion Thexmol chittered with approval. Impressive, but observe this. From his hunting satchel he produced what looked like a miniature spiral galaxy, frozen in amber-like resin. A cosmic dreamer from the Veil Nebula. They say these beings can manipulate space-time itself. This one folded reality 7 times before I cornered it in a temporal loop. The third hunter, Zixtor, remained silent, nursing his drink with deliberate slowness. His scarred carapace told stories of 1,000 hunts, and the collection of trophies adorning his armor represented species from across 3 galactic arms. "You're unusually quiet tonight, old friend," Ketvar observed, compound eyes focusing on the veteran hunter. "What prey has caught your attention?" Zixtor's mandibles spread in what passed for a smile among his kind. "I've been tracking something unprecedented, a species that calls itself human, from a small blue world in the Outer Rim territories." Thexmol scoffed, alcohol making his voice more grating than usual. "Humans, those soft pink mammals. I've heard of them. No natural weapons, pathetically weak exoskeletons limited to a single world until recently. What challenge could such creatures possibly present?" "That's what I thought initially," Zixtor replied, his voice carrying an undertone that made his companions lean closer. "But I've been studying them for 3 cycles now. They're different." The veteran hunter activated a holographic display from his wrist device. Images flickered to life above the table. Surveillance footage from various worlds, news reports, military records. They have no claws, yet they forge tools sharper than Rigelian crystal blades. They have no natural armor, yet they create protection stronger than Centaurian diamond shells. They cannot fly, yet they've spread across more systems in 2 centuries than most species manage in millennia. Ketvar waved a dismissive arm. Primitive technology. Many species achieve such things. "Watch this," Zixtor commanded, selecting a specific recording. The hologram showed a human ship, small and seemingly defenseless, being pursued by Graxan raiders through an asteroid field. The Graxans were apex predators, 8 meters tall with natural plasma generation capabilities and ships that could punch through planetary crusts. The human vessel was outgunned, outnumbered, and outmaneuvered, Zixtor narrated as the scene unfolded. Any rational species would surrender or attempt to flee. On screen, the human ship suddenly executed an impossible maneuver, diving directly into the gravitational well of a collapsing asteroid. The Graxan ships followed, confident in their superior firepower. What happened next defied conventional tactical wisdom. The human had calculated the exact moment when the asteroid's internal structure would fail. As the Graxan fleet entered the debris field, the human ship used its smaller size to thread through gaps that would be impossible for larger vessels. The asteroid exploded, but not randomly. The human had positioned charges to direct the explosion, turning countless tons of rock into guided projectiles. 7 Graxan warships were destroyed by what appeared to be a single human vessel, and some well-placed explosives. "Impossible," breathed Thexmol. "That level of precision, that tactical insight, that's nothing," Zixtor continued, switching to another file. "This is from the Siege of Procyon. Beta, a single human military unit, they call them. Marines held off an entire Keltaran invasion force for 43 days while evacuating civilian populations. The footage was grainy, recorded from battlefield cameras. 12 humans in primitive armor faced wave after wave of insectoid warriors, each standing 3 times their height with natural weapons that could slice through steel. The humans should have been overrun in minutes. Instead, they turned the urban environment into a death trap. Every building became a fortress, every street a killing field. They used their enemies' own aggression against them, channeling the Keltaran forces into carefully prepared ambushes. When they ran low on ammunition, They began using Keltaran weapons. When those failed, they used improvised explosives, debris, even hand-to-hand combat. By the end, all 12 humans were dead. But they had eliminated over 4,000 Keltaran warriors and saved nearly 1 million civilians. The tavern fell silent as the recording ended. "They call it holding the line," Zixtor said quietly. "This concept of sacrificing oneself not for personal glory but for others. For strangers. For the abstract concept of what they believe is right." Ketvar's mandibles clicked nervously. "Surely this is just propaganda." "I thought so too," the veteran hunter interrupted. "Until I encountered one myself." The temperature in their corner seemed to drop several degrees. It was on Terminus 7th, a mining colony under attack by quantum raiders. I was there hunting the raiders themselves, magnificent predators from the space between dimensions. But there was this human, just one, defending a shelter full of non-combatants from 5 different species. Zixtor's scarred hands trembled slightly as he reached for his drink. I watched him for 7 hours. 7 hours of continuous combat against creatures that exist partially outside normal space-time. He had no special equipment, no superhuman abilities. He just refused to stop. Every time he fell, he got back up. Every time his weapon broke, he found another. When the raiders adapted to his tactics, he adapted faster. The veteran hunter's compound eyes seemed to lose focus, as if seeing something beyond the present moment. In the end, he stood alone over the bodies of 7 quantum raiders, bleeding from dozens of wounds, his armor destroyed, his weapons exhausted. And when he saw me watching from the shadows, do you know what he did? Neither of his companions spoke. He stepped between me and the shelter. This broken, exhausted creature, who by all rights should have been dead 3 times over, looked at a Vorthak hunter, apex predator of the galaxy, and prepared to fight one more time. Not for glory, not for trophies, but because there were people behind him who needed protection. Zixtor finished his drink in one gulp. That's when I understood. Humans aren't prey. They're not predators either. Not in any way we understand. They're something else entirely. Something that doesn't fit into our categories. He stood slowly, his massive frame casting shadows across the table. I've decided to abandon the hunt. For the first time in my career, I found a species I have no desire to add to my collection. He paused at the edge of their alcove. I suggest you do the same. Because if you try to hunt a human, you won't be collecting a trophy. You'll be creating an enemy that will never stop, never surrender, and never forgive. As Zixtor disappeared into the crowd, his 2 companions sat in stunned silence, staring at the trophies on their table. Suddenly, their collection of conquered species seemed less impressive, less meaningful. In the depths of space, on a small blue world orbiting an unremarkable yellow star, humanity continued its steady expansion into the galaxy, unaware that the most feared hunters in known space had just learned what it meant to be afraid. The trophies sat forgotten on the table, their bioluminescent glow seeming somehow dimmer in the wake of Zixtor's revelation. And for the first time in their lives, Ketvar and Thexmol understood that there were things in the universe far more dangerous than any predator they had ever faced. Things that fought not for the thrill of the hunt, but for something infinitely more powerful: hope.